lesson today, we're going to look at how to write numbers in scientific notation. Okay? Scientific notation is written as the product of a factor and an integer power of 10. So like a times 10 to the n power. Let me give you another example. You might see it as like 2 times 10 to the third power. That would be an example of scientific notation. Or 3.1 times 10 to the negative 4 power. Okay? Those are both examples of scientific notation. Really important here, it says that A, okay, and A is this front number. A is this number right out front. Okay? A has to be is the factor, and n is the integer. And really important about, n is the integer, is the exponent. Okay, really important about A, this right here is saying that A is between 1 and 10. A is between 1 and 10. And that's important. Do you see how this is A right here? That's between 1 and 10. This is between 1 and 10. We want to make sure it's between 1 and 10. It's really important. Okay? If our number is a whole number, just a whole number, or has whole numbers in it, we will have a positive exponent. And if we have a decimal number with no whole number, then we are going to have a negative exponent. Okay, now I feel like that sounded really confusing, so write that down and let's look at some examples. Okay, now I want to tell you this is really, really easy. Okay, so if I want to change a number from standard decimal notation, so just like a standard looking number, to scientific notation, okay? Remember, it's always going to be times 10. We're always going to have times 10, and we're going to have an exponent. Okay, so what we need to do is, here is our decimal in our number to begin with. It's here at the back. It's a whole number right now, so it's here at the back. I want to move this decimal so that I only have one digit in front of the decimal. One digit, 3. And then I'm going to write 3 points, and I'm going to write all the numbers that aren't 0 out. So 3.725. Notice this is my A value. It's between 1 and 10, so I'm good. Okay, so that's how we get our A value. Now, for our exponent, how many digits from that number are behind the decimal? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means our exponent is 6. Okay, let's see what the next one. Notice this one is a decimal. It's a decimal number. There's no whole number out front. Whoops, there's no whole number out front. So when we do times 10 to our exponent, it's going to be a negative number. Okay, so now let's talk about where we're going to move our decimal. Here is our decimal to begin with, and I want to move it so there's only one digit in front of it that isn't 0. So you see how I moved it so it's 3? That would be 3.16. Remember, again, we're doing that because that's our A value. And we want that A value to be between 1 and 10. So 3.16 times 10 to the negative what? Okay, how many places, how many numbers do we move it from? 1, 2, 3, 4. So our exponent would be negative 4. Okay, let's look at the next one. I said you try, but I'll do these with you again. Okay, so one thing I want you to think about, we're going to do times 10. It's always times 10. This is a whole number. So what kind of exponent are we going to have? A positive one or a negative one? I hope you said positive. If you want to put a positive sign there to help you, you can. Okay, so now let's figure out our A value. Here's my decimal to begin with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got to move it right here so only the 1 is in front of the decimal. So we're going to write 1.414. We don't need to write those zeros. We should not write those zeros because the whole point of scientific notation is to, we have a really big number and we need to write it smaller. Okay, so our exponents, how many places, how many digits do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it would be 1.414 times 10 to the 7th power. Okay, let's look at the next one. Always going to be times 10. Okay, now let me ask you, is this going to be a positive exponent or a negative exponent? Remember, this is a decimal. There's no whole number out here, so it's going to be a negative exponent. Okay, let's figure out our A value. Let's figure out where do I need to move my decimal to. I hope you realize we need to move it right here between the 8 and the 7 so that the 8 is the only number in front. So 8.76. And how many times did we move it? How many digits do we have here to here? We have 1, 2, 3. So the exponent would be to the negative 3rd power. Okay, one more. Remember, it's always times 10. Do I do a positive exponent or a negative exponent? I hope you said negative, because this is a decimal. There's no whole number. Where would I move this decimal to? Not very far. We just move it one time. So 1.14. And since we only moved it one time, 1.14 times 10 to the negative 1. Okay, glue those notes into your notebook so you're ready to go.